Right, there we go. We've now got, yep, we're now recording, so that's good. So, as I said, welcome, Jindra. It's so lovely to have you here, and we're going to be celebrating this book, which is the first, Jindra's first book, which is Benjamin Hedgehog and the Little Teacup, and it's the first from the Tales from the Meadow series. So before we start, I'm just going to read you the little blurb of the book so that it gives you an indication of what this is about. It's an inspirational tale of a little hedgehog with big dreams. Benjamin Hedgehog likes to cook and bake, and his dream is to be a chef. But he has heard that hedgehogs can't be chefs. Luckily, he has a very clever Auntie Berry, who he visits every Friday. Will Auntie Berry be able to help Benjamin believe in his dream again? I wonder. So tell us, Jindra, where did the inspiration for Benjamin and this story sort of come from?
Actually, it came from this card. It's long journey shorter. I was emotional healer in Czech, and after moving to Cambridge 7 years ago, for 2 years I didn't understand English at all. It was hard time, and I missed my clients. I missed a lot of stuff, and I always loved drawing. And now, be housewife and mom of 3, I realized I need to do something. So I made these tiny cards with positive affirmations. And when I made 52 cards, I realized, the pictures are quite for children, but the text, it's sometimes not easy to understand. So I was how to work with it. So I realized I have to do the stories for each of these cards. This is why the tale from the meadows become. And this is first story, but not the last one.
Yeah, so you have 52 cards, I believe, that you had.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
So there's going to be a lot of stories.
Yeah. It will be a long friendship and with you. So yeah.
So as you were saying, you've come from the Czech Republic, come from Czech to come and live firstly in Cambridge, and then you moved up to Scotland. And Jindra actually lived in the same street as me in Bishopbriggs, but we didn't actually meet for the first time in the street. We met at a Women in Business event when I discovered that Jindra, so many people had actually told her she needed to come and speak to me.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, for at least 1 year. It was, you have to meet Kim. You have to meet Kim. And yeah, so it was lovely to meet you finally.
And yeah, when we did meet, it was we did just click as well. We got to know each other. And what I love about this lady is that not only is she a brilliant artist and a great storyteller, but she has a real passion to help from the emotional healing and well-being. That's that's what oozes from your energy, that you actually do. You do actually connect with people's energy in that way. You understand what's going on at perhaps a different level than some people do.
Yeah, it's true.
And this was the creation of your cards, this inspirational cards that you created, your 52 cards. Why did you choose to create the cards? What was it that you wanted people to feel with the cards?
Actually, I had no intention to make 52 cards. I was in Cambridge, I was lost, and I didn't understand. I missed clients. I was helping and what to do. So my friends told me, go to the church, there is art club. And I came with my, you are making your diaries. I was never writing diary, but I have diary without the, and I made this exactly first picture. And I was like, it looks like cards. So you can see It was my actually first card. It's reading helps you discover the magic of books. And I was like, sounds good. And when I was lost, I was walking around the river camp thinking, with my ability, with my healing sessions, I had course of healings, I loved it, and I couldn't do it in English at the time. So I was thinking, what? And I remember a lot of stories. Every client has his or her story. A lot of problems was in their childhood. And they struggled with something. Because they didn't believe them, they didn't do what they wanted. Anything. My mom told me, my father didn't believe me. It was all these type of stories. They were stuck and they couldn't have good life or happy life or busy, something like that. And I was like, all this information I already had and I couldn't help other people. So I was thinking on each story and find or translate it or change it to positive way. So yes, we're the things that you like. It was about the story someone was taking ugly stuff and didn't feel comfortable, or doing, don't be afraid about the mistakes, because we are stuck in these beliefs. And I was like, okay, let's do. So I was drawing and thinking what next would be helpful, what I know, and some of my clients or friends was stuck in it. So I changed it on positive way, and that's how my cards started. And I hope one day it will help a lot of people to feel better.
Yeah. I loved them. When I saw your cards that you had created, they're beautiful. The drawings are really, really good. And those positive affirmations, like you said, are really helpful. So what made you think then that because you said lots of people have problems that they've inherited from their childhood, they've brought through their life from their childhood. So what was it then that made you decide to let's go and create these stories so that maybe we can help the children not to have those problems then?
Actually, I made my 52 cards, a lot of stuff. And we were in Cambridge, and I was like, I am not going on marketing and the stuff. I had feelings. I love this process of creating, and the 52 card was done. And if you see, there is quite childish pictures, but the text is not as much childish as easy to understand for adults, fine. So I was like, okay, I made lovely cards with hedgehogs and ladybirds and flowers, but the text, dream and have, I had feeling it's not as easy to understand what is it about for children. They need maybe some explanation. And that is how first story was made. Actually, my first story was made, do the things that you love most, and it's about the snails. If you remember, I came to your office with the snails, and I started my hedgehog story. And when you told me, start with the stories that you love the most. So I think it's my second story, not exactly the first one. And this one, it's still time. And I like drawing, but I'm not good in writing.
But I would say that this has been part of your challenge, I think, in producing these books.
Big challenge.
Yep. Is that English is not your first language.
Yes.
But, so you've had some people to help you. To
lots of people to help me. Exactly.
Yep. But I know when we were talking recently, I think that what you said really struck a chord with me, and that you're still learning and improving your English language skills.
Yes.
But because you actually you can speak in perhaps a more simple, your language is a little more simple, that is ideal for your audience, because you're writing for children and children need simple, easy to understand language.
I hope so. Yes. I hope so.
Yeah. So I know that you've had some help to make sure that the words are correct and they flow. But you knew what you wanted to say, and your confidence is now growing. I can see a difference. So,
Slowly, it's coming there. If you saw me 7 years ago in Czech, you wouldn't recognize me 3 years ago here. So very shy and very afraid to ask and speak, because I am not confident speaking. This is my first interview and I'm trying to do my best. But writer for me is someone who likes writing, playing with the words. So when you are talking about someone's making book and writing, for me, this is writer. And even in Czech, I know Czech language perfectly. I was never a writer even there. So I struggled even with playing and finding right words in Czech language. It's not easy for me. So I had the feeling about the story in my head. Mm-hmm. I was playing with my pictures and I wrote the story in Czech. With my daughter, she translated in English. With my friend of English language, she translated. And other friend corrects the mistakes and write and rewrite and write. And when I had feelings that it's correct, I ask you to publish. So I love reading books and I admire everyone who is easy with words. I still admire these people and I'm not feeling like writer. I'm feeling more like illustrator. And step by step, I'm enjoying the process. I know I will make 52 stories and I'm happy, and I have to thank everyone who helped me on this journey. At least I have helped, thank you and your husband, Sinclair, because you helped me so much. And thanks you, this story about dreaming comes true. So dreaming is good.
Dreaming is good, yeah. And it's been a pleasure to be part of making your dream come true. I mean, that's the best part about what we get to do. But I think when I talk to quite a lot of people who are writing children's books, and we get people who come with the story, who have written the story, who've written the words, but they want to do something for children and they don't have the art skills. So they can't illustrate themselves. They can't illustrate the book themselves. And then they need to work with somebody else to illustrate. What I think, and don't do yourself a disservice here. So that I'm meaning, don't talk yourself down, because you actually can tell the story. You have got such a skill in being able to tell your story through pictures. And so you knew what the story was to be, because you had created that story in pictures, and were very, which is actually possibly even harder to do, because many people you can write a story, then you try to edit the story down when you're reducing the amount of words. But when you're trying to illustrate a story for children's books, you have to pick the exact image that you want to share that shows what's going on, and you absolutely have been able to do that. So I think that you are a storyteller, you're an illustrator, a designer.
Yeah.
And if you look, I mean, these illustrations are beautiful. You capture the emotion from the people that that are there. And there's a little teacup.
Yeah.
So tell us about how do you create these pictures for the people who are watching, because not everybody will know how you do it. So how do you create your pictures?
Actually, creating pictures is an easy part for me, because the story, the length of story is A4. It's just one page. And when I start, I am making the 1 or 2 sentences. As you see, it's just very short text under the every picture. It's just very short part of text. So I am making 1, 2 sentences, 2, 2. So I know that every picture has 1 or 2 sentences already. And when I look at this and I'm reading this sentence, I'm thinking what pops out of my head. And there's picture. The longest time when I was making this card, it was the same. I was thinking about the picture or sentences and it must match. Because if you have good picture and it's not in connection with the text, it's a problem. It's confusing. So I've got this process with this card and it's naturally, I wanted drawing more. So the story is coming like this. Longest time took to make a character because, okay, I have picture of snail, but who is it? Is he nice? So I was walking and thinking, how he could behave, how it be friendly or, you know, or shy, or could this story be about shy person or brave enough? So now I have my Benjamin, I have my Ollie snails and Alfie snails and Ladybird Wally. And now I'm making the story about them. And I know the characters because, yes, they are part of the story. The trick is how to describe with easy words, is my English. That is matching, yeah.
Well, I think though your skill in creating your character, what you were describing is the same as many of our fiction writers will find when they're thinking about how does their character behave when they're writing a story about a character, not even in children's books, but in all sorts of fiction. They have to think about what that character is like. And you've gone through that same process, but then thinking about how would they show it on a picture? You know, how do they show that they are scared or they're worried or they're happy? So you've been thinking about how they would look and what their character would be like. So you have a similar process, I think, for lots of other people.
Good to know. I was never on a course of writing, so maybe it could be helpful. Yeah.
Yep. So, but how do you create your drawings? So if you can tell the audience, you know, because you don't create digital drawings. These are done by hand.
Not yet. I was in Cambridge and without salary, I was thinking what's the easy way I would like to draw or paint. And the pencils are quite cheap in comparison to the colors. I am good at it. And I always liked drawing from my childhood. I only had no time, you know, I was busy with the other stuff. So I told you, I just came to my first drawing lesson and this came pop out my head. So no, I was not thinking. I like drawing and I like drawing cups and water cans and this stuff. Suns, ladybirds. Yeah. So this is part of my story. So no, I think I couldn't draw everything. I like this small, easy, childish style, and I'm enjoying it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
But you're when you draw, when Jindra first came to see me and said, "Yeah, I have my book, my drawings," and she brings out this huge. Do you have it behind us there?
This huge picture. It's still here. Yeah.
Yep. So huge big A4. A little bigger to post that one. So if you're sitting there with your A3 sized drawings, you must have gone through a lot of coloured pencils, I think, as well. And then you had the challenge then of having these big A3 sheets and having to turn that into what was going to end up be in, about this size?
Actually, this is exactly a lovely story, because when I met you and I show you on the floor, because there was no other space, these big pictures, and you told me, what's your idea? I was like, big book. And you told me, and how about the cost? And did you think about this part of book? And I told you, no. I had dream, I had ideas. So you told me, if you would like to publish with Ingram publishers, we have 20.3 times 20.3 the size of book. And I was like, oh my gosh. And it took me a while thinking about the cost versus my dream. And now I think it's much as perfect, but it's came, reality and dreams are coming like this.
Yeah. So the process of taking your lovely big A3 sized, wonderful, colourful drawings, and then going to have them scanned, because that was the fact that, because they needed to then be turned into a digital format that we could use to put into a book. So you can, there are different ways that you can do that. For anybody who's watching, who's interested in children's books, when you can, and you've got illustrations, you can photograph them, or you can scan them. And scanning is probably a better option, because you can get a higher resolution and different ways to then adjust them. But then you've got these huge big sheets. So we put you in touch with one of our printing friends who lives in, who's got a shop in Kirkintilloch, to be able to go and actually get them to scan them, so that they would be in good quality.
Yeah,
and then amazing. Yeah. So then you've gone from this big book, this huge big book, then to having scanned copies that we can then work with digitally. And start to adjust and add the text and do different layers, and then you can adjust things. So so there's been a lot of learning for you as well. Then
it's still there, because I made pictures, I made text, I had idea, but the rest, how the books looks like with the text, I have to thank Sinclair, because it was amazing seeing him. Actually, I'm happy I was in the Bishoprics, because I could be there when my books become, because it was amazing. He was quick, efficient, and everything. Do you remember about the cover? I had my idea. You told me choose the nicest picture, and I chose this one. And I think it's colorful, lovely, exactly what the story is about. And Sinclair, I don't think so. It's not white around. And I was like, okay. So I made this picture, and I think it was perfect idea. He just told me his opinion, and I agreed with him, and I'm happy about his point of view. So yeah. So he put the text, he chose the format, he chose, even the back. Yeah. This was actually these 3 pictures, they were blue. He changed the colors. He was quiet and super efficient. And I still thank him. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. He's the quiet one. I'm the Gabby one. That's the
exactly. Yeah.
That's how our partnership works. I've got there's a couple of questions and things that have come up here, so I'm going to just read a little bit to you. So Nathaniel has actually said, living in Britain and writing in English has it uniquely shaped the book, or would it have been the same book had you still been living in Czech?
I was writing in Czech. It's written in Czech, and it was a big question for me. Go to publish in Czech or English, because I have a lot of friends working in a nursery, and this is nursery type of story. So it was big decision to go for English or for Czech, and I have translation for Czech language. The problem is Amazon is not selling in Czech. So I have English version first done, prepared the Czech version. I don't know how it's going because there is no Ingram Sparks company working. So I don't know what's the future. So the Czech story is absolutely the same. And now friend offered me to do French. So it's coming, but I have to start somewhere. So this decision was done. First fish story is in English, and we will see what's next.
Yeah, I could see lots of different translations coming for these. Yeah, they are good. It's a good story, and the concept of the book really about, because this is really about building, confidence and improving children's well-being. All your stories are connected around that emotional aspect of something around childhood, like you said, that we carry through into adulthood. So if you can help, your stories can help actually boost the children at the start, then that would be great.
Actually, my aim was not only children, it was even to adults. Mm-hmm. Because even as adults, I was healing adults. We still have some problems with something from childhood. So actually my idea was making for adults reading to children, so they can share this process. And sometimes even adults can realize, oh, this is me. And when you are just reading and enjoying the stuff, it could pop out your head. And I have the question in the end to encourage discussion. So yeah.
So each of your books, the idea is that you'll have some questions, and
Always.
at the end of this one, just to let you know, so there's the questions start with, what is your dream? So there we are. So maybe some of the people here might actually want to share. If you want to, let us know what your dreams are. And then, what new things would you like to try? What would you like to be when you grow up? I don't know what I'll do whenever I grow up, if I ever grow up. And then, can you draw a picture of your dream? Well, I could actually draw my house that I'm living in now, because I'm now living in my dream. So that's it. So you've got those questions as well, as well as the story that people can actually interact with at the end of the story and have a bit of discussion, and hopefully start some conversation. I've got Alina, who's had a comment there, said, I would like to say hi to Jindra from the Czech Republic, and I must say that Jindra is too modest. She has always been creative in many different ways, but her drawing has been her favourite way of spending time and giving out the best and getting the best out of her. So good luck to you.
Oh, it's so nice. Someone from Czech Republic. I didn't expect it. Thank you.
So that was Alina, Alena, Alina. Okay. So there you are. So Alina. So there you are. Thank you, Alina. That's just, you've made her day then. So Joyce was asking how hard it was for you to get a publisher, and had you tried many times? So had you tried to find other ways to publish your books before you came to us?
Actually, when I was asking, and I tried asking, the first man I met, big Sandra in a Klachanov season, and she told me, I know someone who knows how to publish book. So I met a big garden, and he told me about you. So, and I met other people, and everyone told me about you. So you have to meet Kim. And during the time, this 1 year where I knew about you and didn't know, so I found I was making some research on computer. I found Balboa Press, and they started to making phone call to me, and I knew it wasn't right. It's just I had these feelings, and I believe them, and after 1 year, I finally met you. So the process was work. I was working on my drawings I was making, and I believe I will meet you, because everyone was talking about Kim. You have to meet Kim. I heard everywhere it was, you know, I think 5 people told me you have to meet Kim, your friend, and May, she lived next to you, and I was seeing very often, you know, everyone. So I was on the right place, on the right time.
Yeah, okay, and it was lovely. Yeah, thank you. So there you are. So Joyce, that's it. You know, you just get told sometimes who to go and speak to, and there are other ways. Obviously, I mean, so we are helping people to self-publish their books. So with Jindra, you know, she has total ownership of that book, and will keep everything that she, you know, all the profits from the sales of the books. So what we need to do is help you make sure that you sell lots of books. So it's a slightly different way of you know, of publishing, but it's you can go to, you know, put things out there to publishers. And in fact, I'll just let you all know that I am going to be doing a behind the scenes chat on I'm just check my notes here, Tuesday the 8th of June at 1 o'clock. I'm going to be interviewing Anne Glennie from Cranachan Publishing. So they are a children's book publisher, a traditional children's book publisher, who they're actually based up in the Isle of Lewis. And I'm going to be talking to her about how she chooses, you know, what book she's going to publish, and just get to know a little bit more about behind the scenes and what she thinks works really well. And we'll be talking, she also does a lot of work with adding reading resources for schools. She's an author herself. So yeah, so look out if you're check out that you're on our mailing list. It will be, we've not put the event out yet. That's going to be Kirsten's job next week. So we will be putting some stuff out there. We're going to be doing lots more over the course of the next month about children's books and publishing. So hopefully we can give you all some tips. So can I say, so thanks, Jindra. What's next then? I mean, what would you hope to happen? I mean, would you like to be in schools, nurseries, you know, talking about your books, or, you know, what would you like to do?
Actually, you know, my dream, because of lockdown, is to read these stories some children, because this is first time I'm talking about this book, but I have it from November, but in my head and in my books, it's more than 1 year. So next step, I would like to share this story with children and to see reactions. And yeah, this is what I'm missing to continue, or I'm continuing on my 52 stories. But this feedback, I would like to have some feedback of parents, teachers, and children. Yeah, this is my next step.
Yeah. And I'm sure that it will happen. So absolutely sure it will happen. I know that you've got other stories now sort of almost ready then to get to the next stage of publishing. So we will look forward to sharing more of the tales from the meadow. But I think Kirsten's going to put a little link up to where you can actually buy the book from. You know, that it's available on Amazon and all good online book retailers, as we say. And hopefully, yeah, we will be getting back out and amongst us. Things are now beginning to open up a bit more. There will be a chance to do some more in-person events, because I think, like you said, with children in particular, whilst there's been a lot of authors maybe reading to them, you know, online, for you to get that feedback, it would be better to be in the room alongside them and spending some time to kind of really get to see what they think. So I definitely will wish you well from that. We'll say here we are. There it is again. So congratulations, Jindra. You know, thank you very much for the interview and kind of sharing your story along the way. It's been really, really interesting to kind of share that with the audience here. And thank you so much for being brave. You did a great job of your first interview.
Yeah.
I couldn't speak a word of Czech, so and you actually managed to understand my Scottish accent when I get excited and talk really fast and very loud. So so well done.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you for all your help and support.
You are very welcome. So congratulations. So what we're going to do now, folks, is that we have so we've got a few people saying congratulations and thank you for your so I know that Jindra can't see all the comments because she's using her phone just now. So so yeah, we've got some comments there. So that's saying congratulations, well done. Next stage of Indie Authors Cafe, because we like to, once we've had a chance to chat with our author, is to give you the opportunity to decide what we talk about next. So what I'll do just now is I'm going to pause the there we go. Recording is in progress, so the woman tells me on my automated set. So we want to have a little discussion about social media and how you can build your audience. So I'm going to actually I'm going to invite Karsten to come and join me as well. If you want, I'll ask him to unmute. There we go.
Oh.
Hello, Karsten. I'm going to pin you up beside me. There we go. Don't know, did that hurt? I've just pinned you as well. So that'd be useful. We can have a little chat. So those of you who don't know, Karsten works with us and does help us with our social media and some bits and pieces on marketing. And we just had a very brief chat about tell, don't sell just before. That was one of the things that you come up with, a little snippet. So can we actually, do you want to tell us a little bit about what did you mean when we were having that conversation, that snippet of words? What does tell, not sell mean in terms of social media?
So you can't just go online and just tell people to buy your book outright. It's never going to work like that. So you want to tell them about your book, get them kind of involved in the process and trying to learn about your book, and then that should entice them to kind of go down the line of ultimately purchasing it, so you can make a little bit of extra money on the side or whatever. So it's kind of as simple as that. Tell, don't sell. So I don't know what else to say about that.
Yes, so it sounds simple, but for a lot of our writers, I suppose, and people who are here, the whole world of marketing and getting involved in, suddenly having a book and think, because their dream, most of the people who are here, their dream was to get the book. Hopefully then to sell it, to be a bestseller. Some of them might have had that as a dream in there as well, so make some money from their book sales. But most people won't have had any sort of marketing experience, or even, their knowledge of social media has probably been from their own Facebook, or Twitter use, or whatever they've done for themselves. So first and foremost, I suppose, it's really knowing where your audience is that you want to connect with, and that different platforms have got different audiences and people have different preferences. Have you got any advice as to how people would start to think about where their audience would be?
Depends. I would basically, depending on your target market, I would just look to where they would be. So for a children's book, often or not, it would be the parents that you'd have to target. So
put you on the spot now, haven't I? It's like...
yeah. So the best place to start would just be looking online where people buying books, and I can't give you a source right now off the top of my head, but I don't know, you've got an idea of them.
Yeah. Okay. So what I'm going to suggest is you want to think about who you're going to try and who your target audience is and who you want to connect with. So if so if we're talking about such Jindra's book, so it might be you're wanting to actually target teachers, maybe even because you want them to get to know about your book and the potential of maybe then getting into schools. So one thing, LinkedIn can actually be a really useful resource for that, because on LinkedIn you can search for teachers, you can search by profession, you can search in an area, and it would actually give you a list of people that are there. You could make direct contact via LinkedIn, could be an example of how you could then reach out and try and build an audience it might take a little longer because you might be doing that sort of personal connection type stuff. If you're looking at then Facebook, I mean, most people probably on here probably already have a bit of a Facebook presence, you know, and maybe used it for themselves. So one of the things you can start to think about then is actually bringing people into your group, or trying to bring people to kind of connect with you. So whether that's on a page, so I mean, we've got our Indie Authors World page. Some of our authors have created their own like author profile page, so that it's almost like your shop window, if you think about it in that way. It's the way you can promote stuff out there. But you could also use groups. So if you want to have a group, then the group are actually going to be discussing your topic and your conversation. So you're just inviting somebody to come and be part of a group. But for all of us, you know, it's almost thinking about, so why would you want to? You know, I think one of the things often is, you know, like what Carson was saying before about if you just try and go on there and tell everybody, please, I've written this book, buy it. Even your friends are just going to stop kind of like interacting with your posts after a little while, because it's almost, oh no, here she comes again, trying to flog her book. So it's finding the ways that you're going to connect with them. What are they interested in? You know, what can you have a conversation about? What are the connections that are going to be useful for people? So if they're in a group, you know, if it's a group around, you know, so if we took Jindra's book as an example, you know, what you're looking there is like maybe building confidence in children, helping boost their dreams. You know, it might be parents who are actually maybe a little concerned about how their kids have coped during COVID and lockdown. And you might think, well, actually what I could do is have a little group so that we could have a bit of discussion about the content that's in your book. And that way you're not deliberately trying to sell the book. Ultimately, that's what you hope that you would achieve from it, but you actually get some people who are then going to go off and maybe read the book and realise that the book could help work with, build their child's confidence and their well-being. And if you get a little group of people together in whatever way that works for you, so Facebook's a really useful tool to do that, because it's, you can do that for free, even just to try and kind of get people together. But if you've got a small audience who then really connect with your story, really understand your characters, know and love it, because they, in particular with this, if they've read it to their children and then you've got their feedback, they become your biggest advocates and fans, because word of mouth still sells more books than anything else. People being told that you've got, oh, I loved that book. That's a great way. It's a great way to kind of share and pass on.
Often or not, it's about the person behind the book as well. So if you can tell anything about yourself, your audience will love that. A great way to do that is writing a blog and then using that blog to post on social media. That seems to work really well. So if you can find a platform where you can host a blog, WordPress is really good. And then that's a great way to start and get showing who you are to your audience.
Yeah. So has anybody who's here got some good experience or some, I'm going to unpin. Yeah, I'm taking the pin out, Carson. Hopefully that should be less sore now. Anybody in our audience that have got a connection or a good experience they would like to share about their own experiences of working with social? Because John McGee, can I come to you? I'd like to maybe just chat a little bit with you, if that's okay. Because John, you've been quite active on social media with your books. very, very active on social media. John's got different books. You've got your sci-fi novel, and then you've got your Pride of series. So you've got sort of different audiences as well for those books.
You've definitely got to talk to your two audiences in two different ways. There's no doubt about it. So I've become like a split personality. So I have. I probably always had a split personality.
It's now just coming. He's actually got different pen names as well.
So. I've been found out. Yeah.
So what have you? I know that you've now also got your email that you're pulling people to for your email list and sending out your newsletters and things as well.
I will get round to that, but yeah, I know. I feel you can't swamp them with emails, though. I'm keeping it to a kind of maximum of maybe 2 a month. but using it as a kind of I put it out as a kind of newsletter.
Yeah.
The format I use, I thought I was actually signing up. I don't know how this happened. I thought I'd clicked on the MailChimp icon and went through the process of the, creating the account and all that. And then at the end of it, I realised I was on a site called Send in Blue. And I've no idea how that happened. It must have redirected me to Send in Blue. But it gives you a kind of newsletter format that you can drop pictures in and text in, and and then you can have your like your Facebook and Twitter links and things, and email at the bottom and address or whatever. Yeah. So it's quite a nice format, to send out a small newsletter once a month. A wee tip I've found, because I check particularly my football books quite regularly, and I don't know if you look at Amazon and you think why, and you want to see where you are in the league tables, because you're looking for that #1 spot bestseller. Yeah, we've not got there yet, but and it was coming up. Well, it was coming up. My books were in women's biographies. Thinking how did Amazon pick women's biographies for like football books? And I thought, how do you get that changed? So I just asked the question, and somebody says you've got to be on Author Central, which I would actually encourage you. If you don't know about Author Central, what you're doing is you're creating an author page on Amazon. Where you put your profile, you can put blogs in, you can put videos in, so you can really create a good picture of yourself for Amazon readers. Mm-hmm. But using Author Central, you can then contact Amazon direct. Yeah. And you can then state to them just by email, so look, take that category off it. I don't want to be 13,000 in women's biographies or whatever. And you direct them, so say for the Pride of the Bears, which is a Rangers book, I directed them right to the football books, blah, 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 Scottish teams, Glasgow Rangers. It took a while to get it sorted out, but they got it sorted out, and the first time I went on and checked, I was #3 in the best
in the category. Yep.
Category. And it's something you can blast out on Facebook. Yep. Like Twitter, my book's #3 in the bestsellers, so you might be interested in it.
Yeah. So you've done a lot of video. I know you've got a good friend that's helped you with some of your video stuff. And has that been? I mean, from your social media and what people engage with, do you find that people actually have enjoyed the videos and things that you've put out in the past, or do they engage more with just your your commentary or your pictures that you're putting up?
I think most people actually engage more with your commentary. They want to find out little snippets about you, and all of a sudden you can be getting into dialogue that's nothing to do with your book, but you then find that person becomes really interested in you, and then they say, well, you sound really interesting, so I'm going to buy your book, and you haven't asked them to buy the book. You've been talking about something completely different. Things I do avoid is things like politics, religion, the usual things that that can like create arguments and things like that. I always try and keep it fairly light, and the likes of I like talking about science on the science fiction platform, because I'm interested in science, so I can actually be talking about science fact, but you're interesting somebody in science fiction, so keep things like that in mind.
Yeah, and that's part of the challenge, I think, for people maybe is, knowing where your audience is, knowing which platform might work best for your audience,
Yeah.
And then having content, having some content on there that is going to be engaging, so that people actually, like you said, it's building relationships. It's the same way as we do with people generally. It's getting to know them and getting to know that something's going to be useful to share. I just wanted to put a little plug out for there is another friend that we work alongside. His name's Greg Friel. If you haven't checked out any of the stuff that he's doing on social, he's very, very funny. And I mean, Greg just, he basically takes the piss out himself all the time, excuse the language, but that's, he does. I mean, he's the brunt of his own jokes. But he's a musician, and he's worked in media for a long time, and he has been creating lots of really interesting videos, funny little format things, and he's going to be doing content creation sort of training for the first time, that he's actually working with people in a group setting, just to help you maybe kind of think about what can I do, come up with the ideas. Because that's often people are going, all right, great, yeah, I know that I've got people who like children's books or they like science fiction, but I'm totally stumped at what I'm going to put out there. And that's the thing, is like, so even checking out what other authors are doing. Greg, we'll put some links out to Greg's content post. I've actually shared it in our book camp group last week, because he's doing, he's got that kind of going on. But even just looking at what other, if you actually look and see what you engage with, what you find that you interact with, that can be a useful thing then to consider, because if you're saying, well, actually that's where I'm most comfortable with. If you like Twitter, then, I mean, I'm a great believer in also, if you, provided your audience are going to be on Twitter and you love Twitter, then use Twitter. Probably have a presence on most of the platforms so that people know where you are, but not everybody, I know that none of us here are going to spend every minute of every day on social just trying to promote and create content, because we've all got other things to do. Many of you have got other jobs. Your books are, are part of your world, not all of your world, and otherwise you'd be spending every hour that you have just on social media trying to create stuff. So think about the platforms that suit you best.
What I would say is, sometimes people send me links to tips and things like that.
Yep.
It can be like you get good tips on Ingram Spark as well.
Yep.
They do have a 21-day marketing plan, which not every day, it kind of works or would work for you, but you can pick certain days and say, oh, well, I'll try. Don't be scared to experiment, because somebody sent me a link, tips from Instagram. Apparently Instagram seems to be quite a good platform for books. It's not a platform. I think you've got to be on an on a phone.
You're on a phone, yeah,
on a phone or whatever. But it was 17 different tips, and what I thought was, well, I'll just take a note of those tips and I'll have a go. And it's like maybe post pictures of say tip number 4, showcase your books in relevant, interesting settings. So like said, Jindra would maybe want to go into like a library, like into the children's section, something like that, and get some photographs of her with their book in that setting. Maybe have some children that belong to her or whatever.
Don't go kidnapping them.
If she gets permission to use some children listening to her reading the book, and then you don't need to. I didn't post it on Instagram. I would take that tip and post it on Twitter and Facebook. Like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Show a reader enjoying the book.
Yeah.
So if you've got photographs of people that have got your book and they've sent you a photograph, they're reading the book and they're enjoying it, post that on and say, here's Elena from the Czech Republic. She's thoroughly enjoying reading this book to her children.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
like, so that kind of thing, Jindra, you know, put that onto social media.
Yep.
I'm not going to go through the 17 tips.
Yeah,
you know,
but
like, I've had a go at most of them, and you've probably seen most of them, Kim.
Yep.
You're probably fed up with my posts.
No, I actually look out that. That's the thing as well. I think for people to realise that you don't, you know, social media, actually their algorithms mean that not everybody sees stuff, you know, so if you really want somebody to see something, if you can tag them in it, you know, that's the thing, because there's so much appears in people's news feeds that you don't see, and you think that everybody's seen it, but they don't. So I've been getting the time warning from Carson that this little section should be wrapped up. So thank you, John, thank you for your tips, thank you for everybody for sharing that little part, and I'll move that, and I will